Hello, friends, and welcome to today's session titled How to Use the Smarrrter Model to Create Precise Research Objectives. This is one of the most powerful ways of crafting precise research objectives. Whether you are a research student, a consultant, or a researcher, if you are developing your next proposal or whatever stage you are in your research process, this approach will help you think more clearly, critically, and creatively. I have with me Dr. Godwin Asemota, who will be contributing to the discussion today. And you have a lot to learn. Follow us on our YouTube channel as you add value to your academic endeavors.
Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
So let's proceed. And we are going to look at this from both qualitative and quantitative paradigms. Okay, so let's move on. And there are lessons to learn. We are going to learn the differences between general and specific objectives. What do Smarrrter objectives mean? Mistakes to avoid when drafting research objectives for quantitative and qualitative studies. Practical examples from the social sciences, education, and health disciplines will be made available. The action verbs to make your objectives precise and scholarly in quantitative and qualitative studies. This will be our focus as we proceed in the discussion. What are research objectives? If you look at our previous presentations, video presentations on research objectives, we have mentioned and discussed a lot about on research objectives, general objective and specific objective. But we need to add this to this presentation this afternoon so that we will not be too abstract in our presentation, so that we can link each at every point in time. General objective, as you know, it encapsulates the research. It's a summary of all that you want to achieve at the end of the day. While specific objectives enable the researcher break the research problems into smaller researchable objectives that, when combined, it resolves the major objective of the research when combined with each other, and you may have up to 4, 3, depending on the level of your study, whether you are in the undergraduate level for your the bachelor's degree, or postgraduate masters, and then PhD. At least you have 3 objectives, 4, 5, 6, but it should not be too cumbersome, so that you have it gives you that understanding and clarity of what you really want to measure and want to test or want to explore, if you are looking at it from the qualitative perspective. Okay, so general objective and specific objectives should reflect dependent and the dependent variables, meaning what are you measuring against what? That is in the quantitative research. Okay, if you are from the quantitative area of research. General objective and specific objectives in qualitative research should reflect understanding, exploring, interpreting the why people behave the way they are behaving, and also identify the key themes and patterns or narratives from the participant concerning the phenomenon that you are looking at or investigating. Dr. Asemota, Godwin, please. Okay, said I should move on because these are basics. Okay, let's look at what quantitative research means and what qualitative research stands for. Quantitative research, when you look, is talking about the collection and analysis of data that can be measured, counted, or given a numerical value. Through it can be conducted or research through surveys with structured questionnaires on Likert scale. You can have 1 to 5 Likert scale, or 1 to 7, or 1 to 9, depending on what you want to measure. But oftentimes the common ones are the 5 Likert scale anyway. So you conduct the research under quantitative using surveys research, experimental research with quantifiable results, or analyzing demographic data. What it means is that it must be quantified using numbers, using measurement tools that can add together, and then you are able to subject to statistical analysis. You gather data from respondents, subjects, or measuring, you use it with measuring instrument. While on the other hand, you look at qualitative research. Here, the researchers gather participants' experiences, perceptions, behaviors, attitudes, opinions using open-ended questionnaires. They too can use questionnaires, but most of the time they are digging deep into narratives, stories behind the phenomenon they are trying to explore, the phenomenon they are trying to understand, the phenomenon they are trying to describe, interpret, or to give us the narratives behind such. It answers the hows and whys of behaviors, experiences, instead of how many people did this, how many numbers, how much. It concerns subjective phenomena that cannot be numerically counted or measured. So here, this slide you are looking at is just talking about the differences between quantitative and qualitative. Although both share the primary aim of knowledge acquisition. Okay, let's proceed. So what are these Smarrrter research objectives? If you look at the slide, we have Smarrrter, we have SMARRRTER. We are looking at these acronyms. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 acronyms. Okay, and then looking at the basic ones we know, but we have extended it further to give us a better clue and a deeper understanding of your research objectives. The research objectives are key and they're critical in ensuring that the researcher knows what he is doing, what he wants to achieve, and the processes of going through what. We have discussed this. You can check our previous presentations on academic crafting of academic research objectives in the previous one. If you go through Dr. Kemi Asemota Inspirational TV on YouTube, okay? So looking at the quantitative research that you are about to do, I don't know if you are having quantitative or qualitative, but we have, in this presentation, we are looking at both together because we don't need to mix it up, the two up, but we need to be clear on each. So from the quantitative perspective here, we look at the Smarrrter research objective. Specific, the S stands for specific. It's talking about the particular research you want to conduct. What is the intention? The peculiarity, it must be well defined and clear. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Who is involved? What is the context or location? When we talk about the M, which stands for measurable, it must be quantifiable, numerable, discrete, and assessed through data collection. Okay, how will you measure the variables, the dependent variables, independent variables, and the moderating variables? That's what it's talking about here. And is the study you want to conduct, is it going to be achievable? What does it mean? Is it feasible? Is it attainable? Is it workable? Is this objective visible given your time, resources, and your scope? The scope in terms of the content you are going to cover. You know, when you are conducting any research, it must have a scope. It must narrow down. If not, you will spend your time and you will not be able to come to any feasible result. Okay, is it researchable? Is what we are asking? One of the objectives here, talking about one of the R's. We have 3 R's: researchable, realistic, and relevant. Okay, researchable, realistic, and relevant. So sorry, I've already clicked on the next slide, but I'm still on the previous slide, which talks about achievable. Then the first one is realistic. Is it real? Is this researchable? Are you capable of studying the phenomenon under study? Then the next one is it realistic? Is it practical? Is it authentic? Is it genuine? And the next one is the relevance. Is it relevant? That's one, the last R out of the 3 R's. Is it real? Is it practical? Why is this objective important to your research question or societal needs? Then the T there is talking about the time. Is it time bound? Will you be able to deliver, to complete the research on time? Is it linked to a time frame? How many months are you going to use to conduct the research in terms of data gathering, in terms of interviews for participants, or organizing focus group discussions, observations? So these are things that you have to factor in to ensure that you have clear research objectives and you know where you are going. Ethical. After the T, we have the ER. Now, that's what makes it to be smarter research objectives. We are still under quantitative research. Ethical means dealing with the principles of right and wrong. Confidentiality is important. Honesty, correctiveness, morality, just. Is it fitting? And are you following the principle of research, anonymity, and those things? So ethical issues are very important in research, especially when you are dealing with human beings. You must consider you must respect them and honor them and value them and ensure that you make things clear with them before you embark on the research. And that's why when you introduce yourself, and then when you're on the field, you train your research assistant who will be involved in helping you to collect data. Ethics, consistency. You must be consistent in ensuring that the questions you are asking are the same through with your participant, no matter how many they are. You have mapped it out, the interview questions, the key informants, the full group discussion, the focus group discussion for the questions that you have for the participant must be the same, no matter how many participants you are. That's why we are talking about the ethics here. Consistency is very key in research. The morality, the philosophy, the standards, and the principles. I want to call Dr. Asemota Godwin to throw more light on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olukemi. Actually, we have talked about ethical or quantitative research. Is it correct? Is it fitting? Is it good? Is it honest? Is it honorable? Is it just? Is it moral? Is it principled? Is it proper? Is it right? Is it upright? These are things that must be put in place for ethical research objectives and researching. So it must be understood in this format that you are ethical, you are dealing with principles of right and wrong, and you are not trying to muddle up things. Then the other aspect is ethics. We're talking about the conscience, the moral code, morality, moral philosophy, the moral thinking, the moral values you are going to use, the principles and the standards you are going to follow. These are issues of ethics, and they are very important. If you are not ethical, then your results are wrong. They create problems and conflict, which you want to avoid in any form of research. Then the R talks about to reflect, reflection. Then reflexive. I'll take it one by one now. To reflect is to echo. Echo means it's a sound which is reflected from a barrier. You throw the message, the question, the objective to a standard. What do you get back? Like when you are writing, your ears are your best guide. What are you hearing? How did you hear it? What is it telling you? That will tell you, when you are able to know whether what you are saying is correct, even to yourself or to others who will receive it. How will they receive it? So that's why echo sounding is very important. It mirrors, it's a reflection of what you've presented to it. How do you reproduce it? Is it reproducible? Can you return it in a better way? How do you throw it back at people or at things? You cogitate, you digest. Is it digested or not? Is it what you vomit? Is it smelling? These are things that you must understand. You consider it, you meditate upon, you muse about, you ponder about it, you ruminate, you think, and you wonder about it. Those are things about to reflect those questions, those objectives. Then reflection now is the same as echo. The image or the picture you are painting. What are you considering? What are you dreaming about? What is the worth? What the consideration? What the rationale behind it? What the idea generated or idea generation? What are you musing? What are you observing? What's your opinion? What are you pondering about? What are you studying? What are you thinking? And your viewpoint. These are things that you must look at, view from your reflection. Then the next R on that Smarrrter, talking about the reflexive. Is it a reflex action? Is it instinctive? Is it automatic? Is it involuntary? Is it the end game? Is it compulsory? Is it forced or spontaneous? Is it uncontrolled or intentional? Or is it free from all biases? So these are things you look at in the R.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. So looking at the qualitative, a few of the differences here is specifically in the measurable aspect of the objective and uh, the 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 researchability. Because when we talk about measurable, we are looking at types of data that will be collected through what? Interviews, focus groups, observations, document analysis, open-ended surveys. In the quantitative research, you can have open-ended if you are using the mixed methods, okay? So you have both closed, structured, and open-ended. But basically, in qualitative, you have open-ended. So that because they are digging deep into information they want to obtain from the participant concerning the phenomena under investigation. Okay, so for example, if you are conducting a biography, stories about people, what made them to be influencers, what made them to be wealthy, to prosper in terms of, or what made people to survive cancer if they have survived. You are now obtaining narratives through their lived experiences. How did they cope? What made them to survive? When they were going through medical hurdles, how did they manage it? So these are things. So open-ended questionnaires will help, and then interviews, focus group discussion. Maybe you through one participant you got will lead to another participant. That's what we called snowball approach. Okay, so is it the same? Is it achievable? Is it feasible? Are you able to conduct the research? When we talk about researchability here under the Smarrrter research objective, we are looking at the capability of being explored, the phenomenon that is at hand. How do you exploit? Can it be narrated? Can it be discussed? Can it be? Can you identify the key patterns, the key themes, and the patterns of behavior among such people that you have mapped out for your as your participant? And is it realistic? That's the same thing there that we have mentioned before. Is it relevant to the problem you want to solve? Why is this important to your research questions or the societal needs? Okay, is it time bound? Have you considered the time frame? How long will it take you? How many people are you able to reach within a day for such research? Then you look at the ethical. dealing with the principles of right and wrong is the same. Confidentiality, honesty, correctness, and also, is it fitting? Have you covered every area that when you are asking questions, even if the participant says, I'm no longer proceeding, that is the end of the discussion. So you don't need to force it. You don't lure them. You don't force them. You don't. It must be with the principles of ethics. Ethics is very important, and it must be consistent. The same question you ask participant B, it will be they are the same. There will be questions that you ask participant Z, participant A, participant Q. So there must be consistency, and that is what makes it to be a research. Okay. Does it reflect? Does it in one of the R's that we are talking about, the reflection, reflexive, and reflect? You ruminate about what you are doing. You look back on what you are measuring in terms of exploring, or you must understand what you are doing, and your participant as well must understand what you intend to do, and so that they can cooperate with you to give you the necessary information. So you reflect on it, and you look inward to see that you are not biased. You are not biased in what you are doing. You don't put your own ideas in what you don't assume, and you don't presume. Okay, so that's what we are talking about, reflexive, which is the last acronym on the Smarrrter research objectives. Okay, maybe Dr. Godwin would like to add in this area. Said that and we have already explained it. Yeah. Okay, so we can proceed. I believe we are following quantitative and versus qualitative action verbs. If you are looking, you want to conduct a qualitative research, what are those verbs that you have to use? To explore, to describe, document, discover, understand, identify, and develop. Because under qualitative research, it is to gather participants' experiences, perceptions, and behaviors. Okay? It is to, but when you look at quantitative research objectives, what are those verbs that you need to use? To analyze, to investigate, to examine, to compare, to test, to experiment, to measure, to determine, to assess. This gives the researcher, each of these research objectives gives the researcher the use of numbers and statistics to study, okay, and understand, using statistics and numbers to understand the investigation, the study. Okay, it is about collecting and analyzing data that can be measured, counted, and it is conducted through surveys using questionnaires, maybe closed, both closed and ended, through experiment, analysis, and what the goal is to make predictions, to test causal relationships and generalize findings, which you cannot generalize findings in the qualitative research. I don't know if Dr. Godwin would like to add one or two things.
The quantitative aspect is different from qualitative. Qualitative is talking about people's experiences. And because people are different, their experiences are different. Even for the same issue, the way people react to things are different. So you can never have the same information from two different people who experience the same thing you feel is the same. It's like now, somebody whose mother was killed by a lion, then another person's mother was killed by a cat. They will now say they should explain to you how they felt. There's no way they can. Even their mother were killed by lions. The way they look at it is different from the way you look at it, and you cannot empathize and say, I understand. You don't understand anything. So that is why when things like that are happening, it is very difficult to say. But in quantitative terms, you are measuring things in numbers. If you are in the laboratory, you are measuring things with measuring instruments that have different forms of errors. depending on the measuring instrument you are using. So that is why measurements in quantitative research is very important. And if your measurements are wrong, your research is wrong, your conclusions are wrong, your recommendations are wrong. So that is why you can generalize easily with quantitative research. But quantitative, you talk about themes. Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. Let's proceed. Let's look at the examples of action and passive verbs for quantitative research objectives. Looking at this on the slide, you can see those ones that are precisely, correctly crafted and those that are poorly crafted. If you are using to look, to understand, to check, to feel, to talk about, to find, to see, to deliberate upon as verbs for quantitative research objectives, these are poorly crafted and they are wrong. You cannot achieve quality research through this. You cannot even to check. How do you measure check? It's so vague, it's so passive, and it's so weak. These are weak verbs. But when you talk about analysis, you talk about to investigate, to examine, to compare, to determine, to measure, to test. This carries some numbers, numerical values that can now be turned into statistical analysis. Either you use ANOVA, t-test, MANOVA, and the inferential statistics and descriptive. How many people answered question 1, and you have it on a Likert scale of 1 to 5. That helps you to determine the percentages, the frequencies, and also the ratio between this and that. So you can see that these are things that we must know and have the skill to use when we are embarking on our research and study. Dr. Godwin?
Yeah, thank you for that. When you talk about quantitative research, you are looking at weights. How weighty are they? How can they be put on a scale, on a ladder, which is higher, which is lower, which is in between? And with that, you are able to make some comparisons. You are able to establish some patterns of behavior and things like that. Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Godwin. Let's proceed. For qualitative research objectives, those verbs that are good to be used, and not only just good, but they are the ones that are correct and that they are expected in such a research endeavor to explore, because you want to gather information from people that have gone through such experiences that you want to look at, to write about, to describe, to narrate, for other people to understand from their perspectives how they felt when they were going through all these challenges of life, to develop, to articulate. But you cannot seriously use passive verbs like to show, to appreciate. How are you going to encapsulate this to form a complete objective? To believe, to assist, to talk about, to make. These are poorly crafted research objectives because they are vague. If you look at them, they are so vague, it makes it difficult to show the specific contributions of the researcher, and they are too general, okay, to demonstrate the specific actions needed in qualitative research, and they lack the specific nature needed to convey the detailed actions involved in qualitative research. So when you are looking and trying to create or craft or come up with research objectives, you must understand even the topic of your research. You must understand it, and that's why researchers should study wide on the topic of interest, so that he or she will be able to really come up with precisely crafted research objectives. We can move on. Let's look at the practical examples for quantitative research objectives. For example, looking at the verbs that we have mentioned in the previous slide, that one that we just presented: determine, measure, compare, assess, analyze, predict, test. For example, you want to test the relationship between leadership style and employee performance. You see, testing requires some relationships and measurements between the different styles of leadership styles and the performance of the employee that they are being their subordinates, okay, that they are working with. For example, if you want to look at predict voters' behavior using demographic variables, talking about men, women, the single, the married, the widowed, the divorcees, the separated people, you are going to use some statistical analysis to predict the behavior, whether negative or positive, that will now lead to your accepting the hypothesis or rejecting the hypothesis. If you analyze, is it to analyze the correlation between study time and performance, to assess the prevalence of hypertension, among metropolitan residents. You see, we are looking at the rate of hypertension frequencies among people that are living in the urban centers. You look at them and then you measure, comparing students' performance in public and private secondary schools. What will make the performance of maybe people that in the private secondary schools to perform better than public, and it requires numbers. It requires putting them on a scale, weighing them, which is the least, the most, why is it least, why is it outstanding. These are the things, and your tools of indicators that will determine what you want to measure must the construct validity must show that is the construct, the content, and also the face validity must show that you are measuring what is intended to measure. Okay, that is that for this qualitative. You can see, to determine the effect of tutoring. We have given examples in the health sector. We have talked about management. We have talked about health. We have talked about, is it engineering there? Yeah. Okay. So you can also adapt that to look at it and see how you can factor it into your own research. Okay, let's look at the other side of the coin, the one we are looking at, the qualitative research objectives. Examples. Dr. Godwin would like to say something on this.
Talking about how do you explore, that to explore how rural single mothers experience postnatal care in Nairobi, for example. To explore, you see how to see what single mothers do. You must know where they are. They are single mothers. Then, after birth, the care they receive in Nairobi County, for example. Then to understand instructors' perception toward inclusive education. So it's a perceptive aspect. It's a filter. And instructors, there are many instructors, and how they instruct depend on what they are going to get or going to receive at the end of the day. So their own perception will determine who they are and how they include people of different educational levels. Then to describe the coping strategies of widowed elderly women. You see, it is clear, widowed, they are elderly, they are women. So these are the real issues there. Their strategies you are describing. How do they cope? The strategy they have used. They are widowed, the coping mechanisms, the strategy they have used, they are elderly and they are women. So it's specific. So, and the elderly, you must now have a range of age to examine the narratives of female migrant workers in urban churches. Can you see? They are migrants. That means they may be local or international, but urban churches. So you must be able to see how you examine, you look at it from a broader perspective. Then to analyze the themes emerging from youth group trips. What is tripped? How they contribute money to make business or something. They are groups and they are youth. So what are their ages? Is it 18 to 24, 18 to 35. Those are things you must now put in your objectives, whether it is general or it is specific. So you are now looking at it from that. So you now have a theme or themes or patterns. Then to identify the common patterns in the lived experiences of cancer survivors. Can you see? You're talking about public health, non-communicable diseases, and these are things you must identify. Where are they? Who are they? And these are things you must keep as secret and confidential. Then you must know how to address them, how to read them. I'm talking about the snowball approach the other time. Then the document, the storytelling practices among survivors of violence. Today, violence is everywhere. So how do you document it? The storing approach or practices among survivors of violence. So which violence are you talking about? Which area? Domestic violence, gender-based violence, conflict between countries. So a lot of things happen, or natural disasters. So these are things that now come. So you must be able to act in such a way that you are assessing a specific group of people or occurrences. Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. We have just looked at the practical examples for both qualitative and quantitative research objectives. Let's look at the characteristics of these action verbs under each paradigm. On quantitative research, it focuses on hypothesis testing of general patterns, okay? It is through quantitative research that you can test hypotheses, and it uses instruments like surveys, tests, and experiments. It employs statistical analysis that we have said earlier, t-test, regression, ANOVA, MANOVA. It seeks to quantify relationships, comparisons, and causes. The causal relationship, what causes this, the cause and effect, or is it this or that? Then, but if you look at the qualitative research objective, it seeks for in-depth knowledge, information of what has happened to the participant in the context of the phenomenon you are looking at, okay? And you cannot generalize because it differs, like what Dr. Godwin said earlier. You don't share the same information, the same experiences, the same opinion, the same attitudes. No. It uses interviews, focus groups, and participant observation, often uses thematic or content analysis. Also, it focuses on meaning, perspectives, culture, and lived experience. What the type of experiences they have gathered while they have survived that particular issue that we are looking at. Do you have anything to add? Let's proceed. In conclusion, therefore, research objectives are the support structures of any successful inquiry. Without research objectives, the research cannot progress, because if you don't have research objectives, what are you going to measure? What are you going to, because it will help you to, even in the process of designing your questionnaires and the indicators that you are going to measure, or those questions you are going to ask your participant in the qualitative research, and avoid using the same verb for all objectives. Mix them appropriately. You cannot use the same verb, determine, explore. So it must be used interchangeably for in order to get a depth, a deeper understanding, and to get a more robust research information. Okay, and you use explore, to narrate, to discover, to discuss. Those are under qualitative. And for example, under quantitative, to determine, to analyze, to investigate, to test, to compare. These are the things. So do not use outcome-based verbs like prove, show, demonstrate. They suggest bias. Okay, this suggests different forms of biases. Okay, you align your verbs with your research questions and data collection tools. In mixed methods research, you can use verbs from both sides. Mixed method, you use verbs for quantitative, and at the same time you use verbs for qualitative. Okay, they enable researchers to eliminate vague, passive, and weak research objectives. That is, when you have concise, correct, precise research objective, it will help you as a researcher to eliminate vague, weak, passive, and research objectives, and they enable the study to be appropriate, to be impactful, and also to be of good quality. I don't. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
Okay.
I was good.
That is the conclusion of this presentation. We will advise you, researchers, students, please settle down. Research objectives are very important and critical in having a successful research endeavor. Thank you for listening. If you have any query or for more information, contact Dr. Olukemi Asemota. That is the email there. We wish you all the best. Please try and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Till another day.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.